Oh, hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Fantasy Life right here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you for the next couple hours, breaking down everything you need to know heading into week 8 of the NFL season. And of course, we've got a great show planned out for you today. We're going to go through Stock Watch. We're going to, like I said, go through some of the biggest questions, maybe some buy low candidates here today. And I can't believe it, Adam. The season is going by so quickly. And this is a pivotal time. There's a lot going on this week with the 6 teams on a bye. And yeah, it's a good time. How you doing? How's it going?
Doing well. NBA season has started, so that's good. We got the World Series going on.
No, we
NFL in the middle of the season for fantasy, so it's a great time. There's a lot of things going on.
I love October sports. Like October as a sports season is so good because then you get hockey back. Like you just said, NBA opening night was yesterday. Football, it's all good. Unless
Yeah,
you're a
but
Jets fan.
you're
then
big
it's not
time.
good.
You're going to the Lakers games on opening
Oh
night.
yeah. That was not close, really, at all.
No,
at
it
any
wasn't.
point in that game. But it was still fun. It was
You
still
got
fun.
to see Steph Curry in person.
I did. That was
I did
pretty cool.
too once. I don't go to a lot of NBA games, but I did get to
I don't
see.
either.
Oh no. When I went, Curry didn't play. I was sitting like 3
Oh,
rows behind the
no.
Warriors bench, and
What?
Curry didn't play the night.
Wow. The 3 rows behind the bench?
Yeah.
Wow. Big time. I like
No,
that.
it wasn't me. I had a hookup.
Your ticket guy. We love your ticket guy.
No, it wasn't my ticket guy.
Oh,
Someone
dang
else.
it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's why I went yesterday. So shout out to for those tickets. It was cool. It was cool though. Yeah, I don't usually go to many NBA games, but seeing Steph Curry, LeBron wasn't playing. So I know some of my friends that went were a little disappointed, but we knew that weeks ago. I think that he was ruled out of
I
that game.
saw LeBron James play in high school when he was in high school.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Like you
and
were covering the team?
I was covering a local team in New York, and it was a
Oh.
high school basketball tournament. It was LeBron James's first game back when he got suspended for that throwback jersey
Oh.
incident. And you hear all the hype, you see him on the cover of SI, and then you watch him play, and it was man among boys. It was insane. He dropped like 50.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That has to be what it's like though for most of these. Like if you catch some of these athletes that are obviously going to be ones that go pro. I know, when we talk about Kyler Murray, he didn't I think the stat is that he didn't lose a high school game over in Arizona. And
Completely different in the
we're-
NFL, I'll tell you that.
Stop. Get out of here. I
No,
knew
it
when I
is
brought him up.
cool. And I'm sure
It's
like
gotta be cool though.
there's always people listening that in their area, they've probably seen some of these guys that make it pro and you see them in high
Yeah.
school. It is cool. I got to cover some athletes, so I've seen some that have gone to the pros. Not as much football here, obviously, in the New York area. We don't see many high school football stars in New York. It's like a handful. It's completely different. Florida, Texas, California, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is pretty cool to follow the journey of players that are stars in your area from the high school.
Yeah, that's just awesome. Like I was reading, this was months ago, and I don't know why I got down this rabbit hole, but I was reading Derrick Henry high school stats because
We talked about it on the show. I think we
talk
mentioned
about
it.
this?
Yeah, we brought it up.
It was crazy because at the time when we were talking about it, and again, these are going to be, I looked it up again. These are going to be out of date now that he's, I think it's been 3 or 4 games since we talked about this, but his career rushing yards in the NFL hasn't reached his high school numbers yet. That's the crazy part. Imagine Derrick Henry running at you in high school.
Hell
I would
no.
just say, you know what? I'm going to just take a seat. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think you see that guy running, all of a sudden, like your knee buckles, and you're like, "Yeah, I think I'm hurt." You just go to
Coach, I
collapse
got
to the
a
ground.
cramp. I know some of these. Derrick Henry though? That would be insane. I couldn't. Or some of the linemen, like no, there's just no way. But yeah, October's a great time for sports, and it was cool going to that game last night. And not a great time though for Jets fans. I was with a Jets fan. I was with Elliot last night. I said, "How you doing?" Not good.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
told
just
you,
no
like,
hope,
there's
which is
see,
kind of sad. They're just like, I
that's
hate this team.
that's the thing. Like, every team at the beginning of the year, you're 0-0. You can envision or in your mind something that breaks right. And then with the Jets, it's like after week 2, week 3, it's over. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's not going to happen. So, yeah, I do feel bad. I have a friend who's a Jets fan. He's a Mets fan too. So
Oh,
it's
brutal.
kind of rough.
Well, it was better last year, I guess. A little bit?
A little
No,
bit, yeah.
not really, maybe for the baseball. But so the Jets right now, and has this been well, I think they're leaning towards, right, Tyrod Taylor. I don't think
Yeah, it's not official yet.
Yeah, it's been-
Everyone is interpreting that based on
Yeah,
Woody Johnson,
well,
the
oh my
owner's
gosh.
comments.
It just feels like from the top down. I mean, to me, I don't know how you feel about that, but if you guys didn't see Woody Johnson's comments, you can just Google Justin Fields, and you're going to see all the quotes. One of the ones was that he was praising Glenn for turning around parts of the team, but then he added, "quote It's hard when you have a quarterback with a rating that he's got. I mean, he has ability, but something is just not jiving. You have to play consistently at the position. That's what we're going to try to do here for the remainder of the season." And there was more to it, but I don't want to read all the quotes, but it was just, I don't know. To me, it's just an example of how messed up the organization is, I think, from the top down. You're somewhat bashing a quarterback that's still on your roster that hasn't left yet. That really, I mean, it's not for lack of trying or anything else, but it's obvious that it didn't work with Justin Fields, and they may go back to him. We'll see what Tyrod Taylor does, because again, the team is looking like, the reports are that they will be turning to Tyrod Taylor for week 8 to try and get any kind of spark, though. Adam, you can't blame them. They're 0-7. It has just been so brutally bad, that they are just trying to get a spark anywhere they can. They're playing the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. But yeah, to hear those comments from Woody Johnson was just, it just made me roll my eyes. I'm just like, really, this is someone still on your team that you might have to go back to. That's my part here.
Yeah, it definitely was. When you see that, eye popping, when you see those comments, I just don't think that Taylor's going to do anything either. It's not
No, I
like,
don't either.
especially if Garrett Wilson is out, they're in trouble. They have nothing. At least with Garrett Wilson, he can help you move the football. He gets a high target rate in that offense, but you take him out. And that's why we like Wilson a lot too. You look around, you go, okay, where's the competition for targets? There's no one else.
Yeah.
Josh Reynolds and, all the inexperienced receivers they have here. I mean, Mason Taylor, sure, maybe he can help a little bit, but that's the problem. So either way, if Taylor's the quarterback, it really doesn't do anything for this offense. And he
No.
also tends to get injured the more you play him. He's now 36 years old. So, yeah, for fantasy, I mean, obviously super flex leagues, especially if you had Fields, that would be it. But it's a disaster for the Jets
It
right now.
is. It's not good. The other part of the quote was, "If we could complete a pass, it would look good." And you're
Yeah.
just like, we know. I mean, come on. We know that. I get it. I mean, Fields has completed, I think 64% of his passes, has yet to throw an interception. That's his thing. But it's been conservative, right? It's led to him having 22 sacks so far this season, which is the second most in the NFL. Expected points added per dropback is in the negatives. They're tied for 28th in the league. It's been all around bad. And that's the other part. For us in fantasy, we always had way different conversations about Justin Fields than real life NFL conversations about Justin Fields, because we knew coming in, when we were saying, hey, we're going to draft this guy, it wasn't because he was going to be a prolific passer. It wasn't because he was just going to be ripping it through the air and we were like, yes, there he is, making all these connections, connecting with, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, all this stuff. It was what he brought for us on the ground. And so when that's not working at one time, and then at the other time, you're not connecting on anything with anyone. You're completing 6 of 12 in a week 7 game against Carolina. Yeah, that's bad. And the highs have been high, right? 29.5 fantasy points, 27.25 again. But the lows, Adam, I mean, 3.98. That was Buffalo, so I know he wasn't in there the whole time. 4.9 against Denver, not in there the whole time against Carolina with 4 points. But yeah, we'll see if turning to Tyrod Taylor is a spark. I also agree with you. I don't think it's going to be. And then they have to sit back and see what they're going to do, because their buys in week 9. So they're just trying to get a win any way they can, basically, at this point.
Yeah, and one of the other aspects that was discussed when looking at Fields was, okay, he probably has a long leash because he signed a
Yes.
2-year deal for $40 million with $30 million guaranteed. And it has been so bad though. Like the last 2
It has.
weeks have just been brutal. And this is not usually something we're accustomed to seeing, but we should have put the Jets tax into consideration, that it's the Jets. And when it's the Jets, it tends not to work out. Because again, before Fields, when he's been the starting quarterback, he's always been a QB1 for fantasy. And it has not been the case this year. It's been 3 really good games and 3 absolutely atrocious games with extremely low floors. So that's the problem with Fields, is that it's either been great or horrendous. And when I talk horrendous, I mean, that's being generous, because some of
horrible.
those games, especially that Denver game, I mean, it's just so bad. So yeah, look, if you have Fields, then hopefully you had another quarterback on the roster. I know on a couple
You
leagues where I had
probably
Fields, I had
did.
Caleb Williams. So
Okay. Well, you hope for a little bit better. But I don't know. Caleb, they didn't need to do much in that game last week. But yeah, it's just to me when when you have someone like Woody Johnson who's stepping up and, saying, "Hey, this is really Justin Fields' fault." You better hope that someone like Tyrod Taylor can turn it around. But I also understand it on the other side because you said it's been bad, especially the last 2 weeks have been especially bad in those losses. Again, it was Broncos, Panthers. He has a 58.3 rating. 30 that ranks 31st out of 33 quarterbacks. He's completed 51.7% of his passes, and has 91 passing yards on 15 attempts. Those are through 2 games. That's not just one. That's through 2 of those games, 0 touchdowns, and he's taken 12 sacks over 6 quarters during those games as well.
yeah, trust.
It's insane. It's
If you've
bad.
watched it, it's been bad. We were all subject to that Denver game in London, and that was probably
That
one
was
of the worst
horrible.
games I've ever seen.
Tyrod Taylor to you, just super flex though, right? I know we've
Yeah,
gotten a couple questions. There's no way
there's
you
no
can.
way you're
There's
starting
someone
him in a.
else. Go to Carson Wentz at this week if you need someone. There's probably better for you, but
Yeah, we
only
mentioned
super
it.
flex.
So the teams are on bye. It's not like there's a lot of
No, it's not
quarterbacks
awful.
you were starting every single week. So you should be okay at the quarterback position this week.
There you go. We'll see. Do you think we get Justin Fields back? Do you think we see him again? I mean, is he, because I know that people might be in this position where you're in a 12-14 teamer and there's really not that many quarterbacks. Again, they have a bye after this week, so that's going to be a little bit tough. You should be picking someone up anyway, because of that bye, or I'm sorry, week 9 bye, for them. But you think we see him again? Is he a hold, or are you just dropping him? And if he
No,
does come back,
I think the only league I would consider holding him is Superflex or 2 quarterback leagues, and even there it's a little dicey. But if you're in one with one, no, I think you can cut him
okay.
because say he doesn't start this week and then has the bye, he'll be on the waiver wire. Worst case scenario, say they come back for week 10 and then they put him back in.
Hmm.
I don't even know if you'd feel good going back to him at that point. So I think he's a cut. I'm likely cutting him tonight.
So disappointing. It really is. It's just overall disappointing. But we'll see if they get this win, Adam. That's what they need. So
They're not winning this game. You
no,
really
I'm
think
not
they're going
I'm
to beat
not
the
picking them.
Bengals? I mean, I know it's the
It's the
Bengals, but
Bengals, but
still, I guess they
no.
could. No, I guess they could win, but no, I don't see it.
Let's
Six
just
and
say
a
I'm not gonna
half
pick them in
Bengals favorite.
survivors.
Who, the
Survivor.
Jets?
No, I'm
The
not gonna I said
Bengals?
I'm not gonna pick them in Survivor. I haven't looked
Yeah.
through Survivor this week. Maybe the Bills. I don't know. The Panthers are a little
Well, the easy
chippy.
one is the Colts if you haven't used them. They're
I've
favored
used
by
them.
14 and a half at home against Tennessee.
The Broncos against your Cowboys? I don't know. I think
I don't
that's
know. Broncos
the
should have lost
Cowboys.
last
I
week.
know. I know. That was interesting. All right. We'll go through we'll go through Survivor as the week goes on. Carson Wentz, I did mention though, he will get the start for the Vikings. This is the Thursday game. This is the game tomorrow. Adam, what do JJ McCarthy must have the worst ankle sprain in the history of anyone that has had. I think it wasn't even a high ankle sprain. I think it was just an ankle sprain. Whatever it is, it has to be the worst injury of all time because JJ McCarthy still is not ready. That is what you need to know here. So Kevin O'Connell announced yesterday at his press conference that Carson Wentz is going to make another start for this team, and they are going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. The quote that I saw was JJ, the medical staff, myself, we're all kind of encouraged about where he's at and the progress he's making, but he's just not there. Adam, will he ever be there? Will we ever see JJ McCarthy this year? I think that's nuts that this is the way it's gone because at the beginning it felt like it wasn't that serious. And now we're going into week 8 with another Carson Wentz game. It's mind blowing to me.
Yeah. I mean, look, the ranges for these injuries vary. We've seen people miss extended time, but this is definitely surprising because Wentz is banged up too. I mean, there was a
Yeah.
chance that Wentz wasn't going to play in this game, so they're going to obviously start him, which is good, I guess, if you have him in a super flex league. But yeah, this McCarthy thing is very interesting here because a lot of people do think it's a soft benching, but I mean, really, Wentz wasn't. Some of the throws Wentz made last week were so bad. I mean, look, he
Oh,
does
I
get the
know.
ball to his receivers. I mean, Jordan Addison's had two 100-yard games out of three since coming back. And last week it was easy to see because Quinyon Mitchell was on Justin Jefferson a lot. So at least, Addison, even Hawkinson, he's not been great, but at least he's come alive compared to the first two games with McCarthy where he was kind of non-existent. So Wentz is helping the offense a little bit in terms of our fantasy players, but he hasn't been great. So you
Yeah.
wonder, is McCarthy going to be ready in week 9? And they face
I
Detroit.
think
That's not the matchup, too, either. I mean, Detroit's defense is really good right now.
I have a feeling that that's where they're gonna put him back in,
Week
to be
9?
totally honest. Yeah, and it's not that doesn't mean that it's a necessarily good decision, but, the more that I looked into it because, again, I'm being a little bit sarcastic with JJ McCarthy. I do believe that he is injured, but they've said for a really long time, O'Connell has, at least, saying about how important it is for McCarthy to have a full week's worth of practice. So I guess this week on a short week, they just said, "You know what? We can't put him out there." And week 9, I mean, it's the Lions. That's gonna be brutal, but that might be the one where they just say, "Hey, we're encouraged. He's got a full week of practice. We have to put him back out there." They have to figure out what they have no matter what, right? And I think that's the thing that's maybe a little bit nerve-wracking for that team is because 'cause I've said this before, and we've been able to talk with Kevin O'Connell. Like, he is the quarterback whisperer, but they have a team that really has good pieces that can contend. So I think that's the other part of it is where Sam Darnold, they let walk. They said, no, we're okay with JJ McCarthy in this situation. Carson Wentz, we've seen way too much of this year because of the injury to McCarthy, but they do have a team to me that can contend, but they have to figure out what they have in McCarthy. And yeah, it might be week 9.
Yeah,
Tough
so
spot, but
there were some quotes from O'Connell this morning. He said he doesn't need to be 130%. Uh,
who?
he's McCarthy. He said
Oh,
he's got to be able to do his job for 60 minutes without having any setbacks or making his job more difficult than it has to be. So I guess we'll see
all
if he
right.
can make it
Well,
back for week 9.
we'll see, or ever. If we ever see him again, we'll figure it out. But again, Carson Wentz is getting the start for the Minnesota Vikings. That game is tomorrow against the Chargers. I will say, I mean, the Chargers defense did not show up last week, so maybe we get some points there. Jordan Addison,
I
Justin
would.
Jefferson,
Oh, I
you would
hope so.
think.
I mean, total's
Yeah,
44 and a half. These Thursday night games, we've seen
they've
some
been
points.
good.
We've also seen the underdogs play well and win outright. So Minnesota is the dog here. And we know that the Chargers do not have a big home field advantage. I mean, you were there.
No.
Was it split with fans?
I did see a lot of Colts fans, which was
Yeah.
kind of fun because I've been to, I think, one other Colts game, not specifically for them, but obviously they traveled in, but it was kind of fun to see them. I was like, yeah, you love your team right now. It was cool. But yeah, you're right. They don't, I mean, there were a lot of Colts fans at that game last week. So we'll see. You should take the Vikings then. Survivor? No?
Not doing that.
Okay. All right.
You do it since you're so bold.
No, you know what? I think I've already taken them. No, I
No,
definitely
you
haven't.
haven't.
No, I definitely haven't. All right, we're going to continue on. I want to vibe check. We need to check the vibes with some of these teams, some of these players. I want to break down Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and what they've been looking like with Joe Flacco. Also, Rhamondre Stevenson, because we are never going to get away from Rhamondre Stevenson. So we're going to break them down and a few more players here coming up next. Oh, we've got everything you need over at fantasylife.com. You know that by now, though. But of course, I'm going to let you know even more. And an even better thing that we've got going on is that you can get Fantasy Life Plus free for 1 year right now. If you go and download Comet, it's an AI powered browser. I've told you before, but I use it. And it is really cool. So it takes about 2 minutes for you to download this browser. And once you do, you get Fantasy Life Plus, all of our rankings, our tiers, our projections, everything that you would have wanted for free for 1 year. So you can go to fantasylife.com. You can fantasylife.com/comet, download that browser, and then you get Fantasy Life Plus for free for 1 year. So make sure you take advantage of that deal. And as always, while you're there, you can sign up for that newsletter in your inbox 7 days a week, 100% free. Wanted to go through, Adam, just a vibes check. You know, where are we at? We're going into week 8 of the NFL season. If things are looking up for some players, if maybe they are looking a little bit down. But I did want to start with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins because, again, Usually, if you have Jamar Chase, we're not talking much about him because you know that you're starting him week in and week out because he's just at that spot where you drafted him, usually the 101 for a lot of people this year. But it looks a lot better now with Joe Flacco, and you can be really happy about that. It's a small sample here, but he really does look good with this Bengals team right now. Like the averages that he's doing, and again, I know that they're going to be a little bit higher because of the Icy Hot Bowl. But I think my question for you is he going to keep up the current pace? And I think that's what a lot of people are asking. But at this point right now, he's way better and way more of an upgrade to Jake Browning than maybe some people would have thought. And I think Jamar Chase is going to be his favorite guy to target. I think T. Higgins is also going to obviously be elevated because of this, but you have to be happy with what you've seen so far.
I'm more than happy, ecstatic,
Yeah.
because the 2 games with Flacco, 35 targets, 26 receptions, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns. So all we asked was come in there, get the ball to Chase and Higgins, and we would be happy. And that's exactly what we're getting. And remember, too, he still doesn't really know the playbook well.
Hmm.
He's still learning the plays, but he's getting the ball to his top guys. And, especially last week, that was a Thursday game. So they didn't have, he gets to the team. He had a couple of practices. The Green Bay game started poorly, finished strong, and then was great against Pittsburgh. And now a full week to practice, get more of a rapport with these receivers, and now gets the Jets, who, also could be without Sauce Gardner. He had a concussion last week. So, yeah, you're feeling really good. And maybe some people might have bought low on Chase. I mean, Higgins, I don't know. People might not have been wanting to trade for him even a couple weeks ago, but I could have seen a situation where people were like, oh boy, this Jake Browning, it's not working with Chase. Let me see whatever I can get for him. And if that happened and you were able to get Chase, you're in a good spot right now.
No kidding. If I'm jealous. I'm jealous if you were. And it's good with Jamar Chase right now. Again, we've said the stats, but it's just been he had a perfect utilization score last week of 100. I mean, that's just nuts. And Higgins is up to a 76. And I think Higgins, too, they're averaging 31.6 and 16.4 fantasy points. 31.6 is insane for Jamar Chase. So you are just so happy with it. Jamar Chase is going to be top 3, top 2 rest of the way here with Joe Flacco in there. But I think Higgins, too, because Higgins, we were talking at him, and there might have been a league or two where people were in and they said, you know what, I can't start Higgins. And maybe they had another option there, but he was becoming borderline unstartable with Jake Browning. So now I said he's got the 76 utilization score, and it feels like he's upgraded more to a wide receiver 2. I don't know if like middle of the road wide receiver 2, low end wide receiver 2, but you're really happy with what he's seen with Joe Flacco in there. So it feels like the vibes are good here. They're all pointing up.
No, definitely. And,
It.
they're in contention for the division with, Pittsburgh falling off and then beating them. And then, with this upcoming schedule, they might be able to get a couple more wins here.
There we go. What about, Rhamondre Stevenson, who we have no shares of? The vibes for Rhamondre Stevenson managers, though, it can't. I mean, it's got to be good because you were worried about the fumbles, first of all, him not taking care of the football, and once that was happening, you said, okay, maybe this is the time that we're going to see Travion Henderson come out. Antonio Gibson went on IR because of his ACL injury, so he is out for the remainder of the season. And Rhamondre Stevenson has stepped into a big full-time role for this team, and he doesn't look like it's going to. It really doesn't look like it's going to change because Travion Henderson is basically in backup mode, and he has 74% of the snaps, 62% of the rushing attempts, and he's handled most of the short yardage, 2-minute offense, and he had a 67 utilization score for week 7. So it looks like it's not going to stop. They just love Rhamondre Stevenson over there, and unless it feels like, Adam, unless there's an injury, which we don't want to have happen, that's the only way that we see Rhamondre Stevenson's workload dip.
Yeah, look, he hasn't been efficient, 3.6 yards per carry. He's had the fumbling issues as well. We haven't seen it the last couple weeks, but they haven't really penalized him for it at any point.
No.
He's coming off his best game last week, which we knew would happen against Tennessee. They have faced some tough run defenses at times this year, but they are certainly confident in him right now, and Travion Henderson is just really falling off the map. So yeah, it's Stevenson's job right now, and you would like to see him more involved in the passing game, but they are getting him the ball on the ground. It's 31 carries over the last 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think Stevenson now is a RB2 until if we ever see things change. And I got a ton of comments yesterday. They were so funny though. It's just of the rage drops, and Travion Henderson probably was at the top of the list of rage drops, which I understand. There could be a league right at him where if you're not getting anything from him, between him and RJ Harvey, I understand if people say, "Hey, I need someone on my team that can give me any kind of fantasy point boost," and it hasn't been Travion Henderson, and it definitely hasn't been RJ Harvey either.
Yeah, we've seen this though with rookies where the first half isn't good, and then towards the end of the season they really get going. And it's difficult to see now, right? Based on what they've done, which is
Yeah.
very little, but that's the glimmer of hope why people hold on, because it can quickly change. And like, what happens if Stevenson comes out, loses another fumble, like in a critical spot?
I don't
Or
know. Hasn't he already lost 3 this year?
yes, but I'm saying, what if it happens again? Like, at what point do they say, all right, we have to try something? But clearly, they look, when Henderson has gotten the opportunity, he has not really done anything with it,
No.
right? We have not seen that explosiveness that we saw in preseason in college. So, to be fair, we're sitting here, those that took Henderson early and complaining. It's like, okay, but what has he done when he's gotten the opportunity? Now, there haven't been a lot of opportunities, and they must be seeing things in practice that they don't like. Because, like we said, with Gibson going down, we felt, okay, this is a step closer, another rung up the ladder, past someone, and it's gotten worse. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it was 14% of snaps last week, right? I think it was, if
Yep.
that number is so off the top of my head, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, he's not even seeing the field. And like you would think last week in a game, okay, we're ahead. We're going to take the starters out. Let's give Henderson the fourth quarter to see what he can do. And no, they went with Jennings from the practice squad.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just right now it looks very bleak. I still am holding on to them in a couple leagues because, again, they're deeper formats. They're 20 roster spots. So in a lot those instances, you can afford to hold them. But if you're in a league with 5 bench spots and we have 6 teams on bye and you have Anderson, I get it. It's kind of tough
Yeah.
at this point because sometimes you do have to look short term, right? A lot we talk long term and we're thinking the playoffs for fantasy football, but there are times where maybe you're 2-5 and you're like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 3-4 weeks, and I need something immediate, and that is not Henderson right now.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, again, you said it in some of our leagues. I joke that I'm going to rage drop Travion Henderson because he just annoys the heck out of me, but I can't actually do that because you would just go and scoop him right up.
Oh, I did,
So,
and I spent way too much money on him, and now I look back and I'm like,
I
oh
mean,
boy, should I have done that?
I
Because
probably
now
would have
it
done the
leaves,
same thing.
yeah, but now it leaves me out of the mix on getting any big player the rest of the way. Because
How much money do you have left?
like a little under $200.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's tough. But I would have done the same thing if I saw Travion Henderson out there. So it's a push and pull situation, and we hope that things get a little bit better. But right now, it's looking pretty bleak for his managers. But you said it, things change so quickly in this league. I mean, it really could take 1 week, and we see a change. So just hang on a little bit. Hey, vibe check on Bo Nix for the Denver Broncos. I think we broke down this game, but I don't think to the extent that we needed to, because he scored the most fantasy points by a quarterback in any quarter since at least the year two. I think it was 2001, according to True Media, which is crazy. I mean, to see the 30, I think it was 35.5 fantasy points in the fourth quarter. But that also goes to show, like, the other side of this is that he made his fantasy managers happy when he was doing that in the fourth quarter. The rest of the game, though, he just did not look good. He completed 11 of 25 passes, 115 yards. He fumbled once. So there's a give and take here, I think, when we're talking about Bo Nix, because obviously Denver Broncos fans were happy with that one because they came away with a win. Fantasy managers were happy because he got you insane fantasy points. But what are the vibes with Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos right now?
I mean, coming off of that game, they're high, but I don't think he's played well this year.
I
He's
would
missed a
agree.
lot of throws. Okay, so that game, yeah, you look at the end of the game, you're like, oh wow, what a performance, right? He was, I don't know if it was the QB1 this past week or
He
QB2.
had to have been
Yeah, and he
QB1.
had first quarterback in history with 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, for most of that game, he was brutal and he was not good against the Jets. He's had some bad games, but he's missed a lot of throws. So, I mean, look, from a fantasy perspective, that game really boosted him uh, higher for the season. I mean,
Yeah.
this is 6 points for a passing touchdown. He's 12th in points per game, but that was on the strength of last week because he's had a lot of down games where he's hurt you in any given week. So, I mean, this week against the Cowboys, they played better defense last week, but still, they're home. Cowboys are still a team that you can exploit. And Jaden
Yeah.
Daniels was going to have a big game before he got
Yeah.
injured. I mean, he was on pace to he was probably going to hit 300 yards, even with a lackluster receiving core. So, the matchup, at least for Knicks this week, you feel good about, but I don't think he's played well this year.
I would agree with you, but yeah, if you're looking week by week, this is one where Bo Nix going up against the Cowboys, we always pick on them. They are number one in most fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks, 25.5. And yeah, but I do agree with you. He was in that range where, and I'm sure people had to make this decision, but he was in that range that you and I always talked about between him, Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, except Patrick Mahomes now looks like the absolute winner that you could have waited a little bit on, but those guys were still relatively expensive. Baker Mayfield also in that bunch, I want to say, before you got to, the Drake Mays of the world and all that. But I would agree with you. But if we're talking on a game by game basis, this is one, like you just said, the fantasy points should just absolutely flow for Bo Nix this week because of that matchup. But
Yeah, I have no Bo Nix this year. I actually had Drake May and Dak ahead of him in my preseason
mm,
rankings. I just was not as high on him. I felt like there would be some adjustments to what he did. And I had him last year, picked him up off the waiver wire and down the stretch. I mean, he was great in the
oh
second half,
yeah.
but we have seen him fall back a little bit this year.
Yeah, it's been right in the middle, right? 6 fantasy points to start the season in week 1, then you've got 20, 13, 25, 17, 13 against the Jets, and then this 39.9. I have
Yeah,
him
but
I
for
have him
three
in 1.
quarters, you were
I
sitting
know it
there.
was, yeah. You might have turned it off. You might have said, "Well, this stinks," because 1, I thought they were going to lose that game too because I took the Broncos in Survivor. I said, and you can't bet against the Giants anymore, by the way. They don't feel like the easy team that you just say, "Well, the Giants are coming to town. I'm just going to pick against them." You can't do that with them.
My friend texted me probably in the third quarter, and he's like, "Damn, I listened to the experts and I played Bo Nix over Dart." And then, like at the end of the game, he's like, "Never mind, it was a good stuff." I'm like, "This,"
It
but
was
that's the
you were
same
holding
thing
your breath.
that happens
Yeah.
too. Like, say you make a bet, and then people are messaging you in the second, third quarter of a game, and it's like, let the game finish out. Like
Yes.
these things can quickly turn. I mean, that was the epitome though. That fourth quarter was insane because yeah, for most of that game, you're
It
like,
was
oh, why did I
crazy.
start Bo Nix? What a horrendous start. And then fourth quarter comes and you're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. It was the right play.
Yeah, he was amazing in this game, and it was great. He's faced the least amount of pressure this season too, which
That's what
obviously
makes it
helps a
worse when
lot.
you look at his numbers.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's a good point on the other side because it helps a lot. But then on the other side, you're right because that should maybe benefit. You should maybe benefit a little bit more from that. But yeah, again, this week it's a good matchup. We'll start talking about those matchup highs and lows here coming up. But first, I want to go through buy low candidates. Maybe some guys that you see looking around. Teams are saying I've got so many guys on a buy this week. I need help. Buy lows. Maybe a little Jordan Addison, Chris Olave. We're gonna break down those names and more here coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here. Don't get it twisted. This is also an Adam song. He just will never admit it. We appreciate it. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us on this Wednesday. Man, the weeks are good. They really are going by so quickly. Wednesday, we're about to start breaking down week 8. I don't
I
know.
know. It
It's
really
just nuts to
does
me.
fly by. You
Flies
have
by when you're
to
having fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to enjoy every week because, fantasy football, it does go fast,
It does. And then I can't even think about not having football, but we're
And the
just in week 8.
the worst part is if you have like again, I think I said this a couple weeks ago, but now you should know for sure. Although I will say this, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people in leagues will say the same thing. The standings are insane this year. It's so bunched
Mhm.
up. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a bunch of 4-3 teams, a bunch of 3-4 teams. So like even if you're 2-5, you're really not out of it unless your points are really, really low. But you should know at this time whether your team is a championship contender. But I will say again, it's all about getting into the playoffs. As bleak as it
Yeah.
looks right now, you can look at your team and be like, yeah, I don't know. All you need to do is get in, and things quickly change. I mean, this really is a week to week league. We just talked about vibe check with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, you were like, yeah, I don't know. Now you're like, oh, I feel really good. I mean, Rhamondre Stevenson, oh, is he going to keep his job? Now he looks like the main back. You feel good about that. So these things just change so quickly. So you just need to get into the playoffs, and anything can happen after that. Then you have 3 weeks where your team can go off, and I've even seen it in the high stakes leagues where
Yeah.
you have that 3 week championship period, and then teams are at the bottom and they come out of nowhere to win the whole damn thing. So uh, it's just crazy how things change in this league. So it's all about just get in the playoffs. That's your goal. Like people complain like, oh yeah, I'm 5-1. I'm like, what are you complaining about, man? Like you're in a good spot. You just want to get in the playoffs at this point. And
Yeah.
again, even if you're 2-5, you're really not out of it unless your points are really, really low.
Then you can say they're out of it, huh?
Well, no, you
Yeah,
still you
no.
still fight to the end. Like you never give up. I hate people that do that. Like it doesn't matter. Like the excuse people will make, well, I'm in a lot of leagues, so I'm just gonna look at the no. Like then don't get in that many leagues. I mean, you have to at least set your lineup every week and
Oh, for sure.
and make moves. Now, there's a lot of people that don't though, and it's very
No.
annoying. It's I get it. It's discouraging when you have a bad team. Like I have a couple bad teams this year, and it sucks. But I'm gonna keep making waiver wire pickups and set my lineup. You never know, but yeah, sometimes you get hit by a lot of injuries. That's not an
Yeah.
excuse, right? It's just sometimes injuries do derail your teams.
Yeah, absolutely, but you keep going, and I
Yeah,
did like, weeks like this, and we've said this before, but just to reiterate it and say it again, people are going to make mistakes this week. Your league mates are not going to be paying attention because we have the 6 teams on a bye. There are going to be important people that are dropped, or maybe players that are dropped this week that, they just need immediate fantasy production. We had a message from, oh, let me find it. It was, Johnny here, said, "Someone dropped Hunter in my league. Should I pick him up for an upgrade at wide receiver? I'd have to drop Moore, DJ Moore. Yeah, that would be DJ Moore, Pearsall, or Dobbs. Thank you. But like Adam, that's one I would drop. Would you pick up Travis Hunter? Well,
yeah,
after the week we saw,
yeah,
you
I would
drop
want to.
Dobbs? No, well,
I mean,
Pearsall. What are we doing with Pearsall? Really don't
I
really
think I
see
saw something
him.
that he still might not be back this week. I like him, but damn, that's a tough one. I mean, I kind of
I
want to
think
hold
it was
Pearsall. I guess
Dobbs.
probably, yeah. Just because they could be getting Jaden Reed and Christian Watson back soon.
Yeah.
And, Dobbs is kind of touchdown dependent. They just spread the ball out so much. Tucker Craft there. I mean, Dobbs though has had I don't know, Dobbs had 3 really good games though recently.
I feel like, and that's the hard part with Travis Hunter, right? This is the thing we just talked about with Dwayne McFarland yesterday. That the thing that we want to see is the roll over the last 2 games here to stay. That's the thing that you want, because over the last 2 weeks, it's been an almost full-time role. He has a 22% target share, utilization score of 69, and he's averaged 14.8 points per game in those 2 games. But again, 2 games is still a small sample. We also have the games before that where we know he was playing a really true split, and they're going there. That's the one question that we have, is which way are they going to go, or is it just going to continue to be a fluid situation, which is what I think is going to happen, Adam. So we're going to still have good weeks with him, but then there's going to be some where he gives you, wide receiver 4 numbers, and you're just sitting back saying, why did I keep this guy? So I think Travis Hunter right now is one of the more difficult fantasy players to assess because of what we've seen and because of the potential that he has. But if the Jaguars are willing to give him that,
Yeah, I think they're going to increase his role, especially coming off the bye. So I'm optimistic on him that we could see a strong finish. And, we got a glimpse of it right before they have their bye week last week in London. So
Mhm.
yeah, I would want to pick him up for sure.
Dobbs or Pearsall, I don't think we're dropping more.
DJ Moore hasn't been great either, though. Uh, that's a tough one. I guess.
It
I
is
guess
tough.
Pearsall, since he's not healthy, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen good updates on him.
I mean,
Watch now, this will be the week that we get
DJ
the.
Moore has been abysmal this year, man. I don't have him this year. This is the first year I was out on him.
Mhm.
I draft him every year. I really like the player a lot, but it is not happening for him. Do you know what his season high in receiving yards is?
Oh God, what?
68 in week one. He's
I was
been
gonna
held
say
under
70.
50 receiving yards in every week since. He's had
I'm
5 catches is the most he's had in a game, and he has 1 touchdown.
That's
I mean,
so
he has
bad.
been awful this
I'm
year.
holding on to him. I've got him in one league that I have him, that obviously he's hurting me, but I'm in a really good spot in the overall standings. But I'm just holding on to him in case I feel like he wouldn't get traded. But that's the other part where he said, over the offseason, there was a little bit of back and forth with him and Ben Johnson. So I don't know if there's a chance that he gets traded, but you're right. He hasn't been necessarily amazing, but at least he's going
It's
out there. Ricky
he's been
Pearsall,
a
we haven't seen for
This is
weeks.
atrocious for fantasy. He hasn't had more than 6 targets in a game.
Mhm.
It's been really bad. There's like no signs of this changing either. I wonder if they start to become more run heavy too. I mean, we saw it last week against the Saints. Now this week they probably won't be. Again, we're waiting to see if Lamar Jackson plays, but the line indicates he will. Baltimore's favored by 6.5, so this should be a week where the Chicago's going to have to pass.
Yeah, and I'm still looking for a Pearsall update, and I really don't have one. I don't think we should assume that he's just going to return in week 8. We just have to continue to see him potentially practice. But hey, shout out to Dobbs though. You said that he's on pace for a career high 22% target share. No, I wouldn't say great. He's got a good utilization score, but his previous highs were like 19% and then a 59 utilization score. Right now it's sitting at 67. So like you said, they could get healthier in the coming weeks. But right now Romeo Dobbs is their solid option there. So yeah, I would probably go with Ricky Pearsall, which is scary, but Dobbs upgrades maybe to a low end wide receiver 3 in this offense. We're going to continue because I have more questions that we want to get through here, and then of course more buy low potential candidates that we're going to talk through. We're going to do all of that here coming up next. Fantasy Life right here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you right here, talking through maybe some potential buy low candidates that you can look at going into week 8. Big buy week this week. You already know that because we've talked about it a lot. But if you don't, 6 teams on a buy this week. So make sure you go to the waiver wire accordingly there. What if I asked you, because I kind of like it, Rhamondre buy low right now? Buy low situation for him over the last 2 weeks hasn't been great. The fantasy points, especially. They've already gone through their buy, though, right? Week 5 buy, they've already done. Before that, he got you 16.9, 15.2, 31.8, 15.7 fantasy points. But over the last 2 weeks, against Washington, it was 5.2 fantasy points. Against New Orleans, just last week, it was 5.1. I think he still has the potential. He leads the Bears in targets per game. You look at the receiving yards, which again, you mentioned, I mean, DJ Moore's not doing incredible things over there, but Rome Odunze buy low. Yes or no?
Yes, I think part of the reason, again, this past week was they went run heavy. They got the lead. They just stayed run heavy. The previous week, he should have had a bigger game. He had a touchdown taken off the board due to, I think it was an illegal formation, and he made a nice catch in the end zone. So if he makes that play or it counts, then we're really not looking at this being so bad. You're really saying, okay, it's one down game, because that game he probably would have had like 3 for 50 or 60 with a touchdown, then had it counted against Washington. So, yeah, and again, this week is a week where more than likely they're going to have to pass more if Lamar Jackson does play. I think Baltimore has a 28.5 point total, favored by
Jeez.
6.5. So this would set up more as a game that they need to pass. So yeah, I do think, Odunze's been the guy that Caleb Williams has looked to mostly. He's been getting open. So yeah, I think
I like it.
I would buy low. The touchdowns were pretty heavy early on. He had 4 touchdowns the first 3 games. But again, I think the game script, especially last week, kind of nullified the pass a little bit.
Okay, hear me out on this one. Buy low, tight end Mark Andrews for the Baltimore Ravens. This one might need a little bit more convincing, but we know that this has been tough without Lamar Jackson here. But what if I told you that the Ravens specifically, during the stretch, they have a really good schedule for tight ends, weeks 13 to 17. They play the Bengals twice, Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers. All three of those teams have allowed the most fantasy points to tight ends this season. There is a chance he gets traded, but if he does get traded, then it's likely to a team that needs a bigger role out of their tight end. What do you think? Buy low, Mark Andrews.
I'm gonna say no here.
Fine.
Likely is back and healthy. I mean, it could happen, but I think you're probably set at tight end right now. That's the other thing. How many people are looking for tight ends? I mean, you could just go to the waiver wire.
Oh my gosh, my tight ends stink.
I don't know why. There's a lot of options on waivers.
Whatever. Yeah, Mason Taylor did me great last week. It was phenomenal. Whatever. Get out of here. All right, we're going to the water cooler, answering your questions here coming up next. Welcome into the Fantasy Life Water Cooler, where we go through all the pieces of news that you might have missed here and make sure you are up to date on everything going on across the NFL for your fantasy football teams heading into Week 8. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you right here on Fantasy Life. And as always, we're going to make sure that you are up to date on everything to know with news. But you can also be up to date with our Fantasy Life newsletter. FantasyLife.com is where you can go and sign up for that, 100% free. 7 days a week for you, so you can get all the news in the mornings. You're drinking your coffee, you're eating breakfast, and you're reading the Fantasy Life newsletter. You can also get Fantasy Life Plus for free for 1 year, and this offer is going to end fairly soon here, so I would take advantage of it. You go to fantasylife.com/comet, COMET. Again, that is an AI-powered browser, personal assistant, thinking partner, whatever you want to look at it as. I use it and definitely get some of my stats from each week for the NFL. And again, you can get it for free, Fantasy Life Plus for free, fantasylife.com/comet, COMET. Takes about 2 minutes and you can follow. There is a step-by-step guide when you go there. Once you download that browser, you're going to have full access to every ranking tool, projection, everything we have on the website for free. And as always, our articles are also 100% free. So we are here in the water cooler, 888-963-2682, or you can press that new call-in button on the Sirius XM app if you've got questions over there. And of course, at KValenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there on X as well. I see questions coming in already. We appreciate you guys so much for hanging out with us on this Wednesday. So let's get into it, Adam. We've got some news to get through here. I'll start with the ones that we talked about off the top, just to make sure that everyone is fully up to date. But it looks like Tyrod Taylor, not officially official yet, Adam, but they are looking to go to Tyrod Taylor as their QB1 for Week 8. That is for the Jets. And then again, Carson Wentz is going to get the start for the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday. You like Carson Wentz more than Tyrod Taylor. Hopefully you don't have to turn to Tyrod Taylor unless you're in super flex formats. And we really just need to see Garrett Wilson back. I've seen no updates yet. Today's practice report is going to be important. And of course the ones on Thursday and Friday as well. But just a bad time to be a Jets fan. Let's just say that.
Has it ever been a good time to be a Jets fan?
No. Sorry, Jets fans.
Yeah, I'm sorry too. I know I was laughing there, but I really do feel bad for Jets fans. Yeah, I think Taylor is only viable in Superflex or leagues with 2 quarterbacks. I don't think you can go to him if you're starting 1 quarterback. I mean, there's a couple other guys that you might be able to get off waivers that are in better spots.
Yeah, it's not good. So we'll see what happens there. Some good news for Aaron Jones managers, though. Speaking of the Minnesota, no, you got me one time, but it was in a break, so I don't count it.
I have video of it.
It's because I was saying Mac Jones so often that I forgot about Aaron Jones. But the Vikings did open up Aaron Jones's 21-day practice window, so this could be a key player that they get back as soon as Thursday night. Again, it's exactly how it sounds with the 21 days, but I feel with the reports that we've seen that Aaron Jones is going to be back sooner rather than later here. What does that do for Jordan Mason shares? Are you trying to sell Jordan Mason now while you can? You think this goes back to a complete 1A, 1B situation? We haven't seen Aaron Jones for a long time with his stint on IR. Obviously, he was out for at least 4 games, and I think this is the 4th game that he's coming back from, or the 5th, I should say. Jordan Mason, though, if we're looking at just overall fantasy points, they had a bye in week 6, but it hasn't been absolutely incredible. The highest we've seen him score fantasy point-wise, 23.6, and that was against Cincinnati. He had 16 carries, 116 yards. But since then, he's still had 16 carries, 13 and 15, but he's gotten you 10.2, 12.6, 11.7 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks. And again, they had a bye in week 6, so that is from week 4.
Yeah, I think you're still going to see a lot of Jordan Mason. The pass role will probably diminish. He hasn't had a big pass catching role to begin with anyway. He only has 9 receptions on the season. So I still see him getting a lot of the goal line work. And, I think Aaron Jones will be used more in passing downs. They want to keep him healthy too, already dealing with a hamstring injury and, getting older, coming off that big workload last year. We kind of saw this coming, that it was going to be 1A, 1B. And so with Mason, I don't know if you can really sell him right now because I think people are well aware that Aaron Jones is going to be back. So I think you probably just continue to roll with him and, hope he gets the 12 to 15 touches and finds the end zone. He's got 4 touchdowns on the season.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one where, again, it hasn't been bad, Adam, but you maybe expected a little. Did you expect a little bit more with Aaron Jones out for that many games? Because I did, just a little bit.
I would say yes. You're hoping to be a little bit better in his absence, and it's been okay, But yeah, I would have liked a little bit more. Maybe, I guess the yardage has been disappointing. I mean, he went against a Pittsburgh team that really has been awful defensively. They had the one good game against Judkins. Cleveland, I understand. Like Cleveland, that was a week we were talking about it where we said, hey, you're probably going to play Mason, and you hope he finds the end zone against the Browns. And he did. He only had 52 yards. He found the end zone. And then last week against Philly, he did find the end zone, but again, just 3.8 yards per carry, only 57 rushing yards. So, and he had the big game against the Bengals, 116, 2 rushing touchdowns. So, I guess a couple of matchups here have just not been advantageous for him. But yeah, I did expect a little bit more. I thought we might have seen another 70, 80-yard game in there, and we just haven't. It's been 57 yards or fewer rushing in 3 straight games, but he has had 2 touchdowns in that span.
Yeah, the next 3 games for them, again, this is the Thursday night game tomorrow, so they're at the Chargers, at Detroit, and then they face Baltimore in week 10. So Aaron Jones in that 21-day practice window has been opened. I feel that he might be just ready to go for the game tomorrow, but we'll see what their updates are. Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin are expected to return to full practices this week. The key word there is expected, Adam. We'll just have to wait and see and make sure that they are able to do that. The quote was, the plan is to have full weeks of practice for both of them. That was from head coach Dan Quinn. They were without both of them last week, and Noah Brown. Noah Brown is on injured reserve, so he's going to miss. I believe he still has 2 more games for that as well. But yeah, it wasn't good. I mean, thank goodness Jaden Daniels, again, he avoided serious injury with that hamstring. But this is a team that really wants to obviously see them back, all their players back at full strength. So if you're able to get one of or both of Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, but Terry McLaurin this season, man, that's been disappointing if you took him. I know I have zero shares in redraft. I probably took him in a couple best ball drafts, but I haven't checked my exposure from that for a while. But Terry McLaurin, you just haven't seen him. And when you have, it was the first 3 weeks of the season. That's it. 4.7, 9.8, 10.4 fantasy points. We're going into week 8. They're playing Kansas City this week, so they're hoping to have him back, but it has been disappointing.
It's been more than disappointing. I mean, it's been atrocious if you drafted McLaurin. So before the contract issue, I was out on him just because if you look, he basically had the exact same numbers that he has every year. The only thing that went up was the touchdowns. I mean, he went from 4 touchdowns to 13. Now, you could have said, well, Jaden Daniels is there, but it's really difficult to expect that number to repeat. And, again, 30 years old and missed basically all of training camp. It's not surprising he's hurt. This has happened before. So, yeah, I did not want to draft him, but this has been a nightmare if you have him in fantasy because, we've only seen 3 games from him and you've been waiting and waiting. And the worst part about this is, too, this is a Monday night game. So if we don't get clarity, you're going to be in a tough spot because you probably don't want to wait around, especially in a matchup against the Chiefs, who just are on a roll right now. It's in Kansas City. They're favored by 10.5. So, it's a tough spot here for the Commanders, who need Debo and McLaurin back and Jada Daniels in this game, and probably not going to get all of them.
I was gonna say I don't know if we see Jaden Daniels this week, right? A hamstring, they don't want to mess with that as someone that is mobile on the ground. And even if Terry McLaurin was available, I don't know if he wouldn't be in our start state conversation, Adam, as someone that we sit because you said it. One, it could be Marcus Mariota, which is a somewhat of a downgrade there, of course. And then the Chiefs have a good defense. They've allowed the 7th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers this season. So this might be one where you want to not avoid, I would say maybe not avoid both, but with Debo, but Terry McLaurin, just because like you said, we haven't seen anything. So might be one you just stay away from again for that Monday night game. Man, that was supposed to be a good Monday night game too. But now we have all these injuries. Dang.
Yeah, now it's not looking good.
Well, we get to see Rashee Rice.
Yeah, but you hope that the Commanders keep it competitive so that we don't see all the Chiefs sit in the fourth quarter.
Oh, don't say that. It won't be that bad. You think it's going to be that bad?
Oh, yeah, it could be. I mean, do you see how the Chiefs are playing right now?
I know. It's it's crazy what they're doing right now. Okay, so we'll watch out for, again, Debo Samuel, Terry McLaurin expected to return to full practices this week. Vikings did open that 21-day practice window for Aaron Jones. Haven't seen much else on the injury front, so I did you see the Russell Wilson comments with Sean Payton? Oh, they're going back and they're fighting. They're going back and forth. So if you haven't seen this, Sean Payton, head coach for the Denver Broncos, said he was, he said he was hoping to face former quarterback Russell Wilson when his team played for the New York Giants this past week. But they got Jackson Dart, and I guess, and there was more to that, but Russell Wilson, brought up some comments from Sean Payton, said he was classless, not surprised. Yeah, they're going back and forth. He said, "I didn't realize you were still bounty hunting 15 plus years later through the media." Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton didn't need to say it the way he did, but I mean, is it true? I mean, come on. We all, if you're facing the Giants, you would have rather had Russell Wilson starting in there instead of Jackson Dart. So you just don't expect coaches to
say it out loud.
Yeah, exactly.
You can keep it to maybe in private. You don't say it out loud. So I just had to bring that one up because I saw it on Twitter, and then I was like, "Whoa, they're really going back and forth here." So I think Sean Payton speaks to the media today. So we'll see if he has. You think he has a comeback here? You think he continues to
probably
ignite
not?
This?
Probably not.
I wanted to have something.
You wanted to keep going?
About. Yeah. Go back and forth every single day this week. I've got one for you here. Wait, let me find this because I saw that the Ravens, do you see this? Reportedly removed the ping pong tables from the locker room, Adam. It's time to get serious. The ping pong tables have been removed. They're 1-5. They're coming out of their bye, and they said no more ping pong in the locker room. We have to get serious now.
Well,
I love when this happens.
According to my ping pong algorithm, this increases your chances of winning by 87.34%. So the Ravens are definitely on the way up.
I love when, I'm not even kidding, I love when this happens because I love that it makes headlines. It's obvious that they're just like, no, and this was according to the Baltimore Sun. The Ravens removed the recreation from the locker room. So again, it was the ping pong tables, a basketball hoop, cornhole boards, and video game consoles. It's time to lock in, Ravens and Ravens fans. They're ready to go. They could go on a run. All things considered, like I'm making a joke of this because I just love the ping pong table narrative. But the Ravens, well, they could go on a run and they need to, Adam. That's the other part of this. We need to see not only Lamar Jackson practicing, hopefully starting today, because again, they're coming off this bye. They've got the Bears this week, and then the next run of teams is the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Browns, and then the Jets for the next 5 or 4. So, but they do need to go on a run because of where they're at. They've got one win this season, which if you would have told me that months ago, I would have taken that bet head on and said, yeah, there's no way the Ravens are going to have one win coming into week 8. But here we are.
So this is the latest odds to win the AFC North from DraftKings Sportsbook. Steelers plus 130, Ravens plus 135, Bengals plus 450. So that goes to show you that, and I think also the books did this because they figured if they put it worse odds for Baltimore, everyone would pounce on that and it would become a liability for them. So that's why, because how often do we see a team 1-5 that is plus 135 to win the division? But again, I think it's a lack of belief in Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh's 4-2, but they're plus 10 in point differential, and we've seen them. They're not that good.
No.
And with the Bengals, obviously, yeah, it's looked better, but they still have some tough games upcoming. Whereas we mentioned with the Baltimore schedule, and again, Lamar Jackson. So yes, they've had a lot of things go wrong. A lot of injuries on defense. Lamar's missed 2 games, right? Yeah, he's missed 2 games.
Yes.
So they were 1-3 with them, but they were facing, some of the I mean, I don't know. That Buffalo loss looks worse right now because Buffalo hasn't been any good. But, they lost to Buffalo, they lost to Detroit, they lost to Kansas City. I mean, those are 3 of the top teams in the NFL, right? I mean, I think you'd say they're 3 of the top 5 right now. I mean, Detroit's up there. Kansas City, I think most of us would say they're the best team in the NFL. And Detroit, you got to say they're top 3. They might be the best team in the NFC. So they've lost to some really good teams. The Texans game and the Rams, obviously, they had backup in there. So they are certainly capable of putting a big run together. I mean, they certainly should win the next 2 games, and that would put them at 3-5. And again,
it's not an awful schedule for them either.
No, it's not. And then the
rest of the
Steelers' schedule is pretty tough. I mean, they're Green Bay, Indianapolis, Chargers, Bengals. So, yeah, there's definitely a chance here for Baltimore. But again, they have very little margin for error, and they need Lamar Jackson back.
Yeah. Well, again, I know people sent us messages about him still being out of their practice, returning from that bye. We can't freak out yet, but it is starting today that we need to see him out there, and I think we will. You've got he had a long time to rest over there, but the Ravens, you said it, they can't make any errors here. They have tied the worst start in franchise's 30-year history, and of course, they need Lamar Jackson to boost them 1-5. So we'll see if they get that. We'll see if they get that done this week. Again, fantasylife.com/comet, COMET is where you want to go to download that AI-powered browser. And then when you do, you get Fantasy Life Plus for free for 1 year. So make sure you take advantage of that deal. I've got a couple questions over here on X at Valenzuela17 at Adam Ronis is where you can send any questions that you have. But I did see one from Jack that I think is a good question because we're at the point where you're frustrated with some of these players, Adam. So he asked us, at what point do I dump Jauan Jennings or Brian Thomas Jr. to claim another wide receiver who has more upside than these two? I think it depends on your league, right? I've got Brian Thomas Jr., but because of how how big you're not cutting him. But Jauan Jennings, that has also been brutal. And I was one that started him not last week, but 2 weeks ago. And then after that game, we learned that he has, five or six broken ribs, whatever it was, the two ankle sprains and the shoulder injury. But I understand, Adam, people's frustration because you're not, especially from Jauan Jennings and Brian Thomas Jr., but I don't think you're in a place where you can cut BTJ right now. But what do you think about Jauan Jennings?
Yeah, Kittle's back, even though it didn't look like it last week, since he had no receptions.
What are we doing?
Definitely blocked very well to help Christian McCaffrey get all his fantasy points, as if he needed more assistance. You do, potentially have Pearsall coming back and McCaffrey. Again, with Jennings, I think it comes down, he's also been banged up too, right? He's playing through it right now. He had, 4 catches for 31 yards, but they didn't even throw the ball. That was just a Christian McCaffrey game. So, I mean, it really depends on what you're dropping him for. I don't want to say just, he's a drop. I mean, again, it all depends on who you're adding. And, maybe it could get better for him.
Let's hope so. I don't know. 5 broken ribs sounds pretty hard to play with, though. Or what
I
was
can't
it, 3,
believe that's true.
4, 5?
That can't be true.
Why
High ankle sprain, low ankle sprain.
I was going to say 2 ankle sprains, which I didn't even. And the shoulder. Don't forget the shoulder. I said, why couldn't you have told us this before I started you 2 weeks ago? Because then I would have just sat you on the bench. It's just. That team has been an absolute mess. Again, we say this almost every week, but who would have thought that Christian McCaffrey was would have been the healthiest person on that team going into week 8?
The model of health for San Francisco.
Hey, there you go. Not me. We're going through Stock Watch. We've got names, guys trending up, guys trending down, and what our expectations are for them going into week 8 as well. We're going to break it down here coming up next. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta have Xfinity. All the games, all in one place. And here's what you get when you watch sports with Xfinity. It is a great long list here, guys. Sports Zone, every pro football game and over 1,000 college games. You get all the highlights, you get all the alerts. You're going to stay up to date, and that is all in one place. The multi-view, one of my favorites here. You can be in up to 4 stadiums at once. You also get the Xfinity fan view. So that is live scores, odds, and stats. Again, all in one place, and you can personalize it to the teams that you actually care about. And then you also get enhanced 4K and the voice remote, just say football. So imagine all of your football all in one place. Easy. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us here on this Wednesday, getting you ready for week 8 in the NFL and week 8 for your fantasy squad. 6 teams on a bye. We have to check in. Stock watch, Adam. Players that we think might be on the rise, players that may be trending down a little bit. And just get ready here. So I want to start with Chase Brown, running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, and where you think his stock is right now, rising or, staying. We could even say staying neutral. But he is not obviously the player that we saw last season yet. But with Joe Flacco, maybe we see better opportunities. And I think that's the bigger part here is the higher value opportunities. He's got a 71 utilization score. And according to Dwayne McFarland, historically, the comps there have averaged 13.9 points per game. So I want to say that he's trending up, that his stock is trending up. But what say you with Chase Brown for the Bengals?
You feel better, but the problem is that the snaps have not been there. We liked him because he was going to get everything in this backfield, and we're seeing Samaje Perine involved the last few weeks. So he played 63% of the snaps in week 7, 54% in week 6, 53% the previous week. So even that last game against Pittsburgh, yeah, he broke some nice runs finally and had 108 yards, but it was just 11 carries. So it's obviously better, but how much better is the question. The passing game too. Yeah, 2 receptions in the last 2 games with Flacco, right? I mean, before that he had 7, 3, 4. So we're seeing the passing targets go down. He has 1 touchdown on the season. So yeah, it's been better, but if he's getting 13, 11 touches, that's the last 2 games, that's a major problem for him because why did we like him so much? We were thinking 20 touches, that he owns this backfield. Yeah. He's not efficient enough to be successful with just 12, 13, 14 touches a game. So I think I'd say neutral. I want to say slightly up. I know they have a great schedule, especially late in the season for running backs. I think they have one of the best ones the rest of the way. But I need to see more before I go, yeah, I'm all in here. Because I have been getting questions and people wanting to trade for Chase Brown. And I'm not sure. Again, Perine had 7 carries last week for 31 yards. Chase Brown had 11 for 108. So, yeah, Chase Brown looked a lot better. And also, are they going to become more of a passing team now with Flacco there? I mean, that game was back and forth, right? It's not like they were ever down big in this one. I think it was 10-0 early. Then they took the lead 14-10. But look at Flacco, 47 and 45 pass attempts. That's what they're going to do now? Are they just going to say, hey, you know what? We got Chase, we got Higgins. Let's just get the ball in their hands and forget about the run. They were trailing the Green Bay game, I believe, they were down 10-0 at the half, 10-7 after 3 quarters. Even so, 10-7 after 3 quarters. It's not like so I don't know. I don't like the lack of volume for Chase Brown because he even last year, he was not an efficient back. It was all on volume. If we're not getting that volume, it's a problem.
I might be in on buying him right now. As a buy candidate.
I can see that, yeah, and you hope that it gets better.
Yeah, we always talk about trying to be a little bit early, and when we look at what Flacco's given us for at least the last 2 weeks, and you're right that you are right on that, where he's moved in a positive direction, which obviously does coincide with Joe Flacco coming to this team, but it hasn't been every part of his game that has just absolutely flourished because he's there. You said he has a total of 4 receptions, and that's for -1 yards in the past 2 weeks. So I think that he is starting to come up. And when we start to see signs of life for someone that we know was obviously very talented last season and was somewhat of a league winner for you, not to say that he's going to do that this year, but to me, he is actually a buy low target for me right now before we start to see it, because then he gets more expensive. They've got the Jets this week, they've got Chicago, then they go on their bye in week 10. But I'm looking at the potential here, and this is far ahead, but this is where we have to start looking now, is I'm looking at the fantasy playoffs. Week 15, they take on Baltimore. Week 16, they take on the Dolphins. And then week 17, they play Arizona. That's a really nice. And you said it, their schedule, not awful. They're in the middle there. They've got Pittsburgh, New England, Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore again in week 15.
So yeah, the Miami one I expect to be good. With Baltimore, I think they could be a different team by then. I know so far they've been atrocious defensively, but that's a team that over the past few years has gotten a lot better defensively as the season goes along. And if they get some healthy guys back, because I know now they've allowed the second most fantasy points to the running back position, but we also have seen that they have been better the last couple weeks against the run. I mean, they've allowed some touchdowns, but they haven't allowed as many rushing yards. But I do see, if you are in a good spot, that if you are looking ahead to the playoffs, like maybe you're 6-1, 5-2, then you could use that and say the offense is getting better with the change in quarterback, and maybe the role grows for Chase Brown. But we've seen a little bit too much Samaje Perine in the last couple games.
Yeah. No, you're right. And it's just one where you have to watch. I'm trying to be a little bit early. And if it doesn't work, like you said, if
you
it
have
doesn't
to,
work,
though.
You have to. And this is for teams, like you said, you don't want to be a struggling team right now and going to try and get Chase Brown, because there's a world, and probably a big world, where it just doesn't work out. But those buy low targets is someone where you've seen, he started to be on the rise a little bit. That's kind of where you want to buy in. So I'm looking at him as potential. What about DeAndre Swift for the Bears? Stock up, stock down, stock neutral, because he's given us RB20, RB6, RB5 finishes over the last 3 games. He's averaging 20.8 fantasy points right now. So I don't know how we can look at this as other than his stock being up, but same with Kyle Monangai there. That's someone that we set on waivers if he's available. That's a good stash play. So where are you at, though, with DeAndre Swift?
Yeah, I think the stock is up. I know some people might be concerned because we saw Monangai get involved, but Swift had 20 touches. They just ran the ball a lot more. They had the lead. They were more run focused in this game. Swift does back-to-back games of 100+ rushing yards, and they're running the ball very well right now. I guess the concern for him is he's been on the injury report like every week. I think it's like with a groin injury. He winds up playing, but yeah, he's in a good spot. I think the offense is getting better. The run game specifically is getting better.
Yeah, I like him, I think, going forward. And again, they drafted Kyle Monangai. That was round 7 of this year. So he is flashing a little bit. And last week he had the 94 yards and a touchdown. That was 13 carries and 3 targets. So it's not that, I don't know, because we have to look at that and say he doesn't have a full grasp on this backfield, DeAndre Swift, but at the same time, he's looked good while doing it. So I also believe that he's trending upwards. What about, let's go back to Jaylen Warren. Now this is just going to become running backs here. Jaylen Warren, because we saw, of course, we had the conversations about Kenneth Gainwell coming in after their bye week. And when Kenneth Gainwell went into that international game, he absolutely exploded. But I think Warren right now is a little bit of an upgrade, even like maybe low end RB2, but that's from when we had to downgrade him because of what we saw with Gainwell. Where are you at with Jaylen Warren, running back for the Steelers?
Yeah, you feel good about him right now. The first game back after we saw Gainwell have that good game overseas, you did see Warren kind of get eased back in. He only had 13 touches that week, and then they had the short week, and that could have been a factor too. They probably said, okay, first game back, we have a Thursday night game. Let's not go crazy with Warren since he's coming off the injury, and he gets 13 touches and then 20 touches in that game on Thursday against Cincinnati, and he was very good. I'd love to see the 5 targets in that game, 4 for 31 through the air. Had some, his longest run of the season at 37 yards. So, yeah, I think that was a really good sign. It's still Pittsburgh. It's still Arthur Smith. We can,
can't trust him.
It could be a tight end week where, all 4 tight ends score. I think last week it was 3.
It is National Tight End Day this Sunday.
It is. And it's unfortunate because Trey McBride is on bye. Like, how could you schedule it like that?
Oh, no.
Right?
He doesn't get to participate. No. Well, he got his Jakobi Brissett game last
week.
No
Laporta, no Bowers. The Rams, I mean, they did use their tight ends last week. That's because Puka was out. No McBride, no A.J. Barner, Elijah Arroyo, and Jacksonville's not really using the tight end now with Brenton Stranger.
We don't have to talk about Jacksonville.
And then you said it counts, but Kelsey goes on Monday. So
I think it counts.
The tight end day, though, is Sunday.
I know, but I think he's going to be the exclamation, right? The exclamation mark on National Tight End Week. We can call it weekend, day?
I think they call it, isn't it day specifically?
Okay, so you're saying not 2 touchdowns for Travis Kelce on Monday.
I prefer not since I don't have him. I'd rather have Rice or Worthy score.
We're gonna see. I hope we see. Maybe we should we make a little parlay, little tight ends, anytime touchdown scores.
We should actually. Ones. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna get terrible odds though this week on those tight ends because everyone knows about it. So the odds are gonna be worse.
Oh my gosh! Look, I'm just trying to do it for fun.
We do have trying to make money. We do have a narrative though for this
birthday?
week. I'm just seeing this. So it is Travion Henderson's birthday today. So does he get like
today? Oh no.
Does he get like 4 carries this week?
No, I think we see more of the backup from the practice squad, if anything. If it's today, they don't care in 4 days or whenever Sunday is.
It's a birthday week though.
No, I don't know.
No, it doesn't count.
Once we get older, I feel like birthday week is over. It's birthday day. So
I mean, Henderson's still young though.
Oh, dang, now I'll have to remember Travion Henderson's birthday. All right, October 22nd. I'll file that away. But I'm with you on Jaylen Warren. Again, when he is healthy, you're seeing him really in a good spot. Been a pleasant surprise too. I know a lot of people might not have taken him going into this season because there were expectations for Caleb Johnson.
He started to rise, though. I think people started to see the Caleb Johnson issues as we got closer to draft day. I'd say the last couple of weeks that you started to see Warren rise up the draft board. But yeah, Caleb Johnson, though, you go look back, there's been bad picks this year, but that's got to be one of the, because you've got nothing. Like, you could complain about Brian Thomas all you want. At least he's giving you 8, 9, 10 points. Again, that sucks considering he was a late first, early second round pick.
Yeah.
But at least he's out there. You're getting nothing from Kit. Like, you were probably, you cut him already. So
yeah,
it's got to be one of the worst. There was a point he was going round 5, round 6.
Yeah, it was not good. I looked around because I was a little bit worried about it. I had one share of Caleb Johnson on a team where I didn't need to start him because I went wide receiver heavy. But yeah, I've got a lot of Jaylen Warren, so I was happy about it. But yeah, I think Warren upgrades low end RB2 status right now, and you're just happy with the production. Last one, let me just know, like, riser faller stock watch here when we're looking at Tetairoa McMillan with the idea that Andy Dalton is coming in this week. We know that Bryce Young is a little bit banged up. He's got the high ankle sprain. They said he's day-to-day. Expectations are that Andy Dalton is playing this weekend, but I don't know, Adam, with high ankle sprains, sometimes we see the 2 to 4 week timeline. So if you have Bryce Young and you're picking someone up, just hang on to them. Don't make the mistake of, okay, now week 8 is over. Andy Dalton's done. I'm just going to drop this player. So just don't do that. But what are your expectations with Tetairoa and McMillan now? Because I think with Andy Dalton and them going over to him and needing to because of this injury, I'm not necessarily downgrading the offense. If anything, maybe it's a little bit of an upgrade. What do you think?
I think it's going to be better for McMillan. Dalton will find a way to get on the ball. McMillan's been getting the targets. The last 2 weeks, it's dropped down a little bit. He only has 10 targets over the last 2 games. He had at least 8 targets in each of the first 5 games. So, the game against Dallas, he was saved with the 2 touchdowns. We figured that was the matchup that he was finally going to get into the end zone and score his first touchdown of his career. Last week against the Jets, it was just a run-focused game, and Gardner was on him a little bit before he went out, and he only had 3 for 33 on 5 targets. But yeah, and this is a game against Buffalo where they should be trailing. I mean, you'd expect Buffalo to bounce back coming off a bye. Again, Carolina's defense has been pretty good, but Carolina also has been much worse on the road. Yeah. They're home. My bad, they're home. So maybe they play well. They're 3-0 at home.
They are good at home.
Buffalo is favored by 7.5 though. So you'd expect Buffalo, though.
Buffalo's going to be pissed off.
They've got to bounce back in a big way because they have not looked good the last 2 games. So if they are playing from behind, then Dalton will be finding McMillan. So I do think you feel better about him because Bryce Young has not been great.
He's has averaged 194, 1.4 touchdowns over the last, that's 2 years in the 2 year span. So I agree with you on the Andy Dalton, maybe making Tetairoa and McMillan be a riser, especially going into this weekend. That was, again, Stockwatch. FantasyLife.com is where you can go check out all of our articles that you need for setting those lineups for week 8. And again, FantasyLife.com/Comet, COMET. Once you go and download that browser, you're going to get Fantasy Life Plus, Fantasy Life Plus for free for 1 year. Messed it up there, Adam. But make sure you don't want to mess it up. Go and get that deal, Fantasy Life Plus, that you can get for free 100%. FantasyLife.com/Comet, COMET. We're going to be going through players that could potentially be traded. This is the time now, Adam. We've got, I think, a little over 2 weeks before the NFL trade deadline comes. Little less than 2 weeks. It is November 4th this year. So a little bit less than 2 weeks. Want to talk about the fantasy players and some guys that maybe could be on the move. Talking maybe Jaylen Waddle, Breece Hall a little bit there as well. We're going to break them down coming up next. We try to bring the heat here. Hot takes, hot starts. We've got it. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you on this Wednesday. I'm hungry, so that's maybe hot food. I don't know. What are we doing? What am I saying?
Yeah, I'm getting hungry now that you speak of it as well.
It's a Wednesday. It doesn't feel like a Wednesday. I'm just like, a little bit slow today.
I have no idea what day it feels like. How does a Wednesday feel?
Just like slow, right? You're right in the middle. It's not close to the weekend yet, but you still have,
Yeah, but we do have football tomorrow, so we do
That's
have a game
true.
upcoming. But yeah, I guess
Look at you being the positive one. I like that.
I know.
Wow. How the turntables.
Not
You
for
watch The
me. It's
Office?
like every day is like so busy now because again, like
Well,
NBA's
you've got
back, so
NBA.
massive NBA slate tonight. So a lot of teams first game tonight. So yeah, I'll be up till 12:30, 1 a.m. Actually, past that. I watched the
12,
basketball
1
last night.
a.m..
Then I watched a little of the starting five. It's a Netflix documentary that
Oh.
follows around 5 NBA players through the season. So
that's cool.
I like that stuff. Some people don't. I
Nice.
like it. I like
Oh,
seeing.
I like it.
I didn't realize James Harden had a girlfriend and was in love. Like I thought James Harden is a guy that balls out at the strip club every single night. I didn't realize that. I was like, oh
You're like,
damn, James Harden getting in his
You're
30s
so
and he's
funny.
like falling in love.
I
I'm
love
like,
that that's the biggest takeaway for you here. Totally not.
I mean,
what
James
they
Harden
cared
has this
about.
reputation
You're
of like
so
being
funny.
out every night.
Is it like is it like Hard Knocks? But no, but it's a single
No,
player
it's
thing,
better.
I guess.
It's so they're following
awesome.
like James Harden. It was based on last year, so throughout the season they followed these guys
okay.
around, like Gilgeous-Alexander,
That's cool.
Jaylen Brown, Kevin Durant,
Kinda
Tyrese
like
Halliburton.
quarterback-esque.
Yes,
Quarterback
there you go, or wide
Okay.
receiver. Yeah,
Got
exactly.
it. Oh, that's cool. I do like shows like that, where you just follow them. That's fun. I won't be watching it, but
No,
that
I
is
know.
fun.
But yeah,
You
so
do
you know,
hockey, by the way?
no, I
fantasy hockey.
actually I love hockey. I'm a big New York Rangers fan, but like I can't do four
You'd be up.
sports
You'd
at
be
that
doing.
level.
You'd be doing
can't.
24-hour night. Well,
3
you're
is
already
more
basically
difficult
doing
enough.
it. Oh my gosh, you need serious help. That's all I'll say. You need a break, a vacation, a beach
I
vacation.
do. I'm hoping to
That
go
sounds
on
lovely.
vacation
Oh,
after the football
tomorrow?
season.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, please don't say anytime before February.
Well, if we
whenever
hit
the
this
Super Bowl is.
huge tight end
Yeah, the
parlay
tight end
for tight end
parlay.
week, then yeah, maybe
You'll
it
be
will be
gone?
sooner. Yeah.
Okay, folks, if you don't hear from Adam on Monday, you'll know why. We hit this parlay. We have to put that. We'll put that together for tomorrow. We'll start it. I wanted to go through players that could be traded at the NFL trade deadline. Again, that is November 4th, 4 p.m. Eastern. There's been some buzz. This is an article live at not fantasylife.com, but you should go there. This is from ESPN though, and they went and ranked the top 25 players who could be moved. And obviously some we're watching for. Every single year we're watching for fantasy players where they could be traded and how that could affect them for us moving forward. The big one that I've still heard so far is Jakobi Meyers, because he literally, did you see that yesterday? He came out, hang on, I have the full quote. He literally came out at him and he goes, yeah, no, I still want to be traded. Just said it the quote was, oh, for sure, when asked if he still wanted to be traded from the Las Vegas Raiders. So that's one where this team is losing. And I mean, that game against the Chiefs was so horrible that they just continue to lose, and they might just try to get as much as they can from some of these guys. Max Crosby is one where he's also been in trade rumors as well, even though they shut that one down. But Meyers was a guy that wanted a new deal before the season, didn't get one, had the trade request. And I think, because he's basically, it looks like he's going to hit free agency in 2026, that might be one where they do move him.
Yeah, at this point, the Raiders should just be trading anyone because this is
Yeah.
just a complete disaster. So, yeah, our trade request was made, was it right at the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah, it was like maybe a week, maybe less
Yeah.
than a week before the first game started, which was it was random.
I mean, look, there's a lot of teams that could use wide receivers, right?
Oh yeah.
Including his former team, New England Patriots.
They have been shopping around. They also ESPN put him with a fit for the Steelers as well, who say that they also want.
Yeah.
They
George
said that they
Pickens
need
could have had
so
kept him.
so weird.
But thank you guys.
Anyone that's writing up, I don't think the Miami Dolphins are buying anyone at the trade deadline. They put the Miami Dolphins as a team fit, but I think I know I don't. I think it's the Patriots, the Giants, and the Steelers.
Yeah, Giants obviously could. I mean, you got to give Dart credit. I mean, he's doing this without Malik Neighbors.
Oh yeah, no, you definitely have to give him credit.
And then even Slayton went down too.
I know. Well, I'm never gonna see the money that I spent on.
You never know. He could be back and ball out.
Well, I hope so because I spent $205 or whatever it was dollars on him, so that was so annoying. What about Mark Andrews? I did see a question come through today. Again at Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis, and we'll do this one more rapid fire, asking about thoughts on Isaiah Likely if we do see Mark Andrews move, if we don't, what that could look like. But I do think Mark Andrews, we've said it before that maybe he's one that could be moved. I would be more surprised about this, but they said team fits are the Cowboys, which I thought was a little bit of an odd one, Philadelphia Eagles, and the San Francisco 49ers. I don't think Mark Andrews is going to be one that gets traded, but I understand the questions because of Isaiah Likely over there.
Yeah, I don't. That would be brutal for his fantasy value. I mean, if he's traded anywhere, probably, right? You would think the best place is he's been with Lamar Jackson all these years and that he helps them make a run. But yeah, he is, I think, in the final year of his contract, right? So
yes. Yep.
And they do have Likely there. So, who I guess
and it feels like they really like Isaiah Likely.
Yeah.
He's just been banged up. That's the unfortunate part. He broke his foot, if I remember correctly, and that's why we haven't seen him much.
And had the surgery. Yeah, like late July, early August.
So he is, I mean, Mark Andrews is making $11 million. Again, the final year of his deal. They have Isaiah Likely over there. He's also set to hit free agency, by the way. So it's going to force the Ravens to make some sort of decision. I don't think it's right now at the trade deadline, but I do think it's an end of the year conversation that they are obviously going to have. We're going to continue on. I've got a few more names that we have to watch out for with the trade deadline coming up. One running back, a couple other wide receivers. And then, of course, we're going to start previewing week 8 here. Quarterback streamers, seen a ton of questions on that as well. We're going to break it down here coming up next. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us here on this Wednesday, going through more players that could be traded at the deadline and getting you ready for all things week 8. So I think for this tight end parlay, by the way, I've been thinking about this. I think we should do down bad players and see if we could get their luck to turn around. Don't you think that'd be fun? You're like, no, that's throwing money away. But I really do think we could do players that haven't necessarily been amazing yet. Maybe this is the week they turn it around with National Tight End Day.
Okay, so who do you have in mind?
Kyle Pitts. Not that he's been down bad, but
yeah,
it could be a fun one.
It is Miami.
Yeah. You know what?
They can run all over them.
Let's do Colston Loveland.
Oh, there you go. That's
down bad.
Especially if Cole Kmet is out.
I don't think he's going to be out there, right? The back injury? He might. We'll have to watch the practice reports, obviously. But yeah, why not? Colston Loveland, that's down bad.
That is.
You're like, this is why I don't do parlays with you, is you come up with this stuff and there's no reason. Juwan Johnson, that could be one.
Yeah, he's been trending downward lately.
I know. I actually don't mind. I think that he could be someone that not necessarily on the rise. I was going to ask you about him for Stock Watch, but with Kendre Miller leaving and Alvin Kamara getting more touches on the ground, that could open things up for him a little bit.
Kamara's been terrible too.
I know.
Oh, here's the easy one.
Okay.
Mason Taylor. Have you seen
Is that easy?
What do you mean?
With Tyrod?
Yeah, but have you seen what Cincinnati has done against tight ends?
For sure.
Most fantasy points. They allowed 4 touchdowns to tight ends last week. I mean, Pat Fryermuth, Jonnu Smith, Darnell Washington. They allowed a touchdown to Tucker Kraft in week 6. Brock Wright and Laporta scored in week 5. Now, Evan Ingram stinks, so he couldn't score week 4. Josh Oliver scored a touchdown against them in week 3 and TJ Hawkinson. So The Bengals have been getting destroyed by tight ends. So Mason Taylor has got to be in that one.
Okay,
you said down
like
bad.
that.
I mean, he is down bad due to the quarterback.
No, it's down. You know, a player that I think would love like narrative games and would say it's National Tight End Day. I need to get both of my tight ends involved. I think Jackson Dart.
Dart? Okay, yeah, and he has been.
I think Jackson Dart would like that. So maybe a Theo Johnson in there
and
or
Bellinger too.
You want both of them? No, we couldn't.
Well, it depends if you're trying to swing for this wild long shot parlay.
I'm enjoying this. Unfortunately, I think, it is fortunately, but I would say Harold Fannin, but it looks like David Njoku has a chance to be back this week.
I did see, they still said he's day-to-day though, Stefanski said. So I guess there's a chance, but either way, I mean, Fannin's still on the field a lot with Njoku.
He is. This is going to be
Cleveland against the Patriots, though.
I don't know if I want to go back to Gadsden. You want to go back to Gadsden?
Oh, that's tomorrow night. Look, if I had Gadsden, I'm starting him. I mean,
oh, for sure. He was the waiver wire guy to get this week.
Yeah, I have him in one league, and I'm playing him.
There are tight ends that we're missing this week, but you said it for the quarterbacks. There's not that too many where we're really hit bad, but there are some obvious receivers that we're without this week, and some of the tight ends
too at receiver.
And the injuries, being without JSN.
Receiver's going to be very difficult this week.
Brutal. All right. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. We'll get that parlay together. We'll put it together tomorrow's show. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us. We'll be back though, same time tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day.